he likes hiking in places with a lot of birds. He is obsessed with birds.
If we take Maze outside to like a green area, oh my God, this cat will chase bugs until she's like a different color.
He loves to smell things. He's like super, super curious. So anytime we can find like a good like spot that has like a lot of crunchy leaves, sticks, he loves sticks.
Join us for a chat with the experts as we help and encourage you to share in a life of adventure with your cat. Remember, no adventure is too big or too small. We can't wait to learn, grow, and explore with you. Hello, and welcome to the Kitty Cat Go Adventure Podcast, where we discuss various topics related to traveling and adventuring with your cat. I'm your host, Emily Hall, and today I have a panel of guests on the show to chat about adventuring with disabled and handicapped cats. Each of us has a special needs adventurer, and we will be sharing about the motivations, struggles, and lessons we've learned along the way. Our guests for today are Karen, Kat, and Delcy. Karen adventures with Aquaman, a paralyzed cat with spina bifida. Kat adventures with Squid, who has no eyes. And Delcy adventures with Maze, who has no tail and is incontinent. And for those who don't know, I adventure with Sophie, who has cerebellar hypoplasia. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
One of whoever wants to get started first, who wants to tell us about your cat and what are their challenges?
Well, I have a very impatient one here who's probably going to leave us in a minute. So this is Maze, and she is a year and a half old. She's a Manx cat. So some Manx cats are just born with a little bobtail. Maze was actually born with nothing at all. Her tail, as I like to call it, is under 0.5 millimeters in length, and it's actually turned all the way around and it's facing her body. So she's got incontinence. She can't control her bladder or her bowels, and she's in a diaper. So obviously she cannot change her own diaper. So we had to teach her at a very young age to start adventuring with us so that she would be comfortable going with us places. And that's how we started off our adventures.
Yeah,
Right?
well, that's awesome. I love that, you found a way to include her in what you were doing instead of leaving her at home. I mean, why leave her at home? She can be a part of the fun too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Kat, do you want to tell us about Squid?
Yeah, so I got Squid when I was in Michigan after graduating from grad school, and I was looking for a dog, thinking like, oh, like it'll take a while to find a dog. And I walked in, I was like, well, there wasn't a dog. Let's look at the cats. I like looking at the cats. I have one that's 15 years old, so he needed a buddy. And I knew I wanted a black cat, and I found Squid, and he was just this weird fluff ball that looked like one of the soup monsters from Miyazaki films, and he didn't have properly developed eyes. He had microphthalmia, and before they let me adopt him and take him home, they wanted to surgically remove his eyes so that he wouldn't get infected, wouldn't get anything in there. And they told me before doing that he was probably completely blind. If he could see anything, it was just light and shadow and not much else. But he is an exceptional cat and just wants to go around and do things. And we started adventuring because the first thing he did when I brought him home, I took him out of the box and I put him on the floor and he climbed up my leg and sat on my shoulder. And I was like, that's weird. I've never had a cat do that. So I picked him up and I put him down and he immediately did it again. And so from there, I was like, well, maybe I'll just start taking him on longer and longer walks because he likes, noises and the birds. And after about 4 or 5 months, oh, yeah. I was like, he should probably have a harness. And he just went with it. He's very good at communicating what he wants and what he needs. So I try and do my best.
That's awesome. Very good. All right. Karen, you want to share about Aquaman?
Yeah, sure. So this is Aquaman. So he is paralyzed and he's also incontinent. He can't go to the bathroom on his own either. So he wears little diapers. And yeah, he's a super sweet little guy. He's paralyzed. He has spina bifida, so he leaks spinal fluid. So he can't control the bottom part of his body. I was originally fostering him last year, and then I ended up adopting him, so he's fine. And then so I have a cat, Wednesday, who goes out and adventures, and she goes on leash. And I wasn't sure how he was going to fit in, but he always wanted to be included. So we started taking him out on with the backpack, and he loved it. So he's a little adventure cat in his own special way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what I'm hearing from each of you is that you started taking your cats out on adventures because you didn't want to leave them at home, and they just wanted to be a part of what you were doing, and so you found a way to make it happen. And I love that, because so many people, I think, oh well, cats, will just leave them at home, not really worry about bringing them out. Dogs get to go all the cool places, right? But cats can too, and even especially, I guess, really, if they have special needs,
Mhm.
it's hard to leave them at home. So, um, well, I guess we'll start with Delcy. Do you have to take any precautions or do anything special to be able to adventure with Maze?
Um, yes and no. Like I think the biggest precaution that I take is I'm very protective of her. She's a very small cat. I don't know if you could tell, but she only weighs 6.5 pounds. She's very tiny. Um, so my biggest thing is I just don't want some freak accident to happen.
Mhm.
Like an off leash dog just sees her and that's the end of her.
Mhm.
Or if we're walking on the side of the road or on the sidewalk and like a car loses control or something. So my biggest concern is I'm always the one that's closer to the street, or if I see other animals, I like stand in front of her and I make sure that she like sits and doesn't go anywhere. Or if it's just she just looks at me and is uncomfortable, like I just pick her up and put her up on my shoulder. But those are like the biggest precautions. Otherwise, like it's kind of funny, like I have a diaper bag that I have to carry with me because well, diapers happen. So just a backpack with her diapers in them, some extra toys in case she finds a grassy area that she wants to play in. We'll toss a spring or a ball and she can just like run on her leash back and forth. But we don't really need anything. If anything, it's easier to take her around because she doesn't need a litter box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, but that is always a question that comes up, when you travel with your cat. What do you do about a litter box?
Yeah.
You don't
Well,
have to.
she goes in her diaper. What do I need a litter box for?
Yeah. Good point. Kat, what about you? Do you have to take any special precautions, or do you have any special
Uh,
considerations when you adventure with Squid?
I mean, I guess like Delcy, it's the dogs, and I've really, for the most part, never had a bad experience with them. It's just kind of Squid and Mai's mantra kind of is constant vigilance. Like if he doesn't notice, I'll notice, and if he notices and I somehow don't. Um, Dogs, I'm afraid of him actually, like, just sneaking out of the house. He's, an intrepid adventurer, and he wants to just do it, and if we open the door, he's just gonna, like, sneak out, so, like, I have to tell people who aren't used to Squid or haven't been around Squid that, like, you can't just, like, leave the door open or, like, not pay attention to things like that. Um, and he got out once, and, he we live on a hill, and so, like, the house is behind ours. Um, like, it's a pretty steep drop. I'm not sure how he got there, but he was probably fine. Um, until he got into a yard with two dogs and he got chased up a pole. And fortunately, one of the neighbors was like, "There's this cat up a pole, and do you know about it?" And so the people who live behind us actually like called my mother, who I'm staying with right now, and they're like, "Do you know about a blind black cat?" And I was like, and my mom's like, "Oh, that's so weird." Crazy coincidence. I'm like, it's not a coincidence. It's we didn't even know he was gone. He was probably gone for like an hour.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, since he's blind, I mean, I'd like to I hate, like, saying, like, he has certain behaviors because he's, because he's blind, but I think he doesn't jump up or down from things unless it's like a certain height, which is about 2.5 feet. So I do worry about him like getting stuck or panicking and falling. But he rides on my shoulder, and when we go hiking, he's trained himself to just follow me, and he stays on the trail by feel a little bit. So really, it's just like kind of dogs or people coming up to us. Those are kind of our big like main concerns, and like sneaking out right now. Yeah.
Yeah. With him not being able to see, do you ever have to worry about him, like, I don't know, walking into things or?
He's an exceptional cat. He maps out new places when we go like somewhere inside or even outside. And there's a few breweries that we'll go to after like walks or hikes where he like knows the whole lay of the land. Um, but he's pretty good about using his whiskers. And when people ask me, I'm like, he has really good hearing and really good smell, and he happens to just be a smart cat. So no, when I got him, I was really worried because they were like, really like, you can never move the furniture in your house. Like you can never do things like that. And when we do, he's like, it's a new jungle gym. Let's check it out. This is amazing. So he's just like raring to go. He has so much energy. We're probably gonna have to go for a walk after this. But yeah, he will run into walls if he like miscounts his steps or like things like that. And I'm like, oh, your head. He's run into trees before, but he's pretty resilient. So I try and when I'm actually like connected to the leash and we're walking, I'll like kind of do like a slight like little like not a yank, but like a little tap tap like this, and he knows to like kind of veer usually. We're still trying to work on stairs. Stairs are a problem. Going down them can be a little rough.
Yeah, I bet, because stairs are all different size, like different heights. Not like a standard
And then
thing.
you are there, and the first stair, like he'll like do a little fall, and it's a little scary.
Yeah.
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 I tap with my foot. That's what I do. Is I like tap on each new step, or when there is a first one or a last one, and that's usually if he's paying attention is pretty helpful.
Yeah. That's a good little tip there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Karen, how about you and Aquaman? Do you have any special considerations or things you have to do when you're out with him?
Yeah, so with him, I mean, he spends a lot of the time in the backpack. He does come out and explore a little bit, but for the most part, he's in the backpack and he loves being in there, just sightseeing. But because of that, I do have to pick easy trails. Like, I don't want to carry a cat in my backpack the whole time. And then I have a dog and a cat too. So they usually, either one of them will come with us. So also keeping that into account that I'm going to be managing more than one. Because I do think that's the hard part too, is when we go with someone else, it's like, I have to keep an eye on my cat Wednesday, but I also have to keep an eye on Aquaman. And but yeah, I try to look for like really quiet areas that we can go to, kind of secluded. And then same thing with Maze is that we also, I mean, we don't need a litter box for him, so it's super convenient when we are traveling. There's no litter box for him needed.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I need litter box too. And Sophie is the worst litter slinger. She gets in that box and like I can always hear her because it sounds like, I don't know, there's a tornado in the litter box or something. So whenever we travel with her, I have to bring like a broom and a dustpan and like be scooping it up all the time because she's a big
trash can, or not trash can, a big huge like trash bag, and I put that like slightly underneath it, and it's really helped.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I don't know, like, because she's wobbly and she gets that litter box and is like, whoa, this is crazy. But
It's
like
so funny that you say that though, because I have 3 other CH cats too, right? And all of them thrash into the litter box.
Squid used to play in it, so I was like, "You're not doing anything. You're just in there throwing it around." He's like, "Yeah, it's great."
Yes, yes. Well, that is interesting. I didn't know you also had CH cats actually, and maybe that is just like a common thing for them to thrash around in there,
Mhm.
I don't know.
See, I thought it was just mine because I've had mine since they were kittens, and they all do the exact same thing. So I'm sure they trained each other how to do it, where
Yeah.
they dive in head first. They like swim in it. They
Yes.
don't cover their stuff. They just like leave it there for you. And I'm like, it's just my luck. Like that's what I thought. But now that you're saying it, like I feel so much better.
Maybe they just have to like really make sure like it doesn't get on them. So it's just like you have to keep spreading the litter around.
Maybe that guy.
Assortedly.
Who knows? Sophie's so like boisterous about everything, like all of her movements and things. So it comes across in her litter box usage. That's funny.
Mhm.
Well, do any of you guys, I don't know if you've ever dealt with running into people who see your cats and see that, they are different, and have you ever dealt with negativity from people, who are, I don't know, I've gotten comments, like, oh, she looks miserable, or oh, something's wrong with her, and they say it in that like, kind of
The
tone.
judgy tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, why do you have her out here? She doesn't look like she can walk. I'm like, well, I mean, she can't really, but whatever. So, do you guys have any experiences like that?
Yes. For the most part, I can't really say that, but
Mhm.
I have had a couple instances. My biggest thing is I like to kill people with kindness.
Mhm.
And I am insanely sarcastic. Like, I don't know if you've seen our Instagram posts, but they are riddled in sarcasm because that's the language that I speak. And for the most part, when I see people just like staring,
Mhm.
um, or like we're pushing Maze in her stroller and she's just
Mhm.
living her best life and they're just looking like, is that a cat? Like,
Mhm.
I look at them like, hi, how are you? Yeah, it is a cat. And they're just like, okay. Was not expecting the happiest person alive to be talking to me about their cat, but
Mhm.
okay. Um, but the one lady, it was last summer and we were just in like this random park
Mhm.
and Maze had been chasing my husband around. They were
Mhm.
just like living their best lives, running through this like park, and he was throwing a stick and she was running right after it. And every time that she would stop, like we would tell her, you got to stop, and she would stop and listen and so on and
Mhm.
so forth. And this woman was walking like her tiny little dog past us and was like, "Why are you outside with your cat?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Because she likes to be outside.
Mhm.
Because she wants to be outside.
Mhm.
Because I'm living my life and I'm letting you live yours. Is there a problem?" And she looked at me and she was like, "I just don't think that cats belong outside on a leash." And I'm like, "I just don't think that you should be jealous that my cat listens better than your dog."
That's the thing though, that's really frustrating. It feels like we're in this really liminal space where like, it's been proven, it's bad for the environment and like unsafe for like cats to be indoor outdoor. Um, as I said, I have had indoor outdoor because I couldn't keep them in. Like cats are built differently than dogs, but so more and more people are trying to like get their cats accustomed to like going out on leashes and like being in the world because a lot of cats do like it. And no matter how much like indoor like stimulation you have, like it's not the same thing and not everyone can afford to like have that kind of stuff in their house constantly, right? So like trying to make this transition and then you meet people who are like they shouldn't be on leashes or in the park and it's like, well, what like what do we do? Like are
Yeah.
cats just not allowed? Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a struggle. I'm glad though that at least, Delcy, and I don't know about Karen and Kat, that you guys haven't experienced any negativity like around your cat's disabilities or anything. Like people being kind of negative about that too.
Honestly, like it's more online than it is in person. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like I find that people don't have the gusto to tell me to my face that, oh, your cat is different, they shouldn't be outside, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I said, I usually kill them with kindness before they can start with their judging. So by the end of the conversation, they're walking away learning something from me than they were originally just like staring. But the negativity that I've seen is predominantly on our page.
Yeah, on Instagram, there's always the Instagram haters.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that I think it's more prevalent online. I think in person, people tend to kind of shy away from saying those comments. So they tend to say things like, oh, is that a dog? And I'm like, no, it's not a dog. But I don't think people are as rude in person as they are online. But I'm always of the mentality, like, this Instagram page is for fun. So you're not going to come on my page and ruin my day. So I'll just delete your comment.
I haven't had any negativity at all on Instagram, but I don't have, Squid and I don't have like a super big following right now. Like we're still kind of finding our niche and just the joy of being a cat in the world. But the kind of comments he gets are like out in the world that are like ableist are always like, they always come from like a place that means well, you know, those types, like the, oh, well, that poor thing, or like, bless your heart. And I'm like, this guy has a full life. Like, what do you mean, poor thing? Like, his name is Squid, which blows people's mind. They don't like it. A lot of people have told me to change his name. But they're like, oh, how, like, I don't know. Like, they're just like, oh, that poor thing. Or like, you're so good for taking care of him. He's so lucky. And I'm like, I have an adventure cat. I think I'm the lucky one. Like I dreamed of this as a child before Instagram and things like that, where I could see it was like a thing that was real. And I just happened to like come across this brave, exciting cat who's just like, let's do it, you know? So yeah, he's not suffering. He doesn't have a less than life. He has, I hope he has a really full life. I think he does. And he's just, you know, I think he's like this bringer of joy. Like most people are like really happy to meet him. He loves people. He'll like run up to them and chase them down sometimes, which is a little, we need to work on that. But I mean, yeah, I haven't, all the comments like mean well, but it kind of makes it worse because it's like, how do I like let you know? So I kind of have to like reframe it, you know, and take it back and kind of like, no, actually I'm the lucky one, or like, you know, things like that. The worst. Yeah. Sorry. Was someone talking?
No, I was just agreeing with you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Don't want to cut anyone off, or if anyone wants to chime in, but the worst one really was when I first brought him home from the Humane Society. I didn't drive at the time. I didn't have a license. And so I took an Uber, and the woman like asked me about him, and I was like, oh, well, you know, we're going to have like a little bit of a learning curve. He's blind. Never had a blind cat before. We'll see how it goes. And she was like, oh, normally they would just put cats like that down, right? And I was like, this is the new love of my life. We need to like tone it down a little bit. And I was like, well, I think, you know, they have like a lot of support systems now, and like, they don't need to, you know, she's like, oh, okay. And like, for her, it was just like an off that like the comment had no meaning. Like she didn't care about it. It was just like a thing she was saying. It was weird. So I haven't had that happen again. So
that's good. I think I have to, my experience are really similar to yours. Like I get the, oh, poor cat, or oh, you know, and I'm like, don't feel sorry for her. Like she's living the best life. She's so happy. Like she is hands down the happiest cat that I know. And you know, Sophie, she loves people. You know, I think Sophie and Squid and probably all four of our cats would be like best friends, I think, because they all seem to have very similar personality traits, you know. And I love just hearing how, despite all of these you know, struggles and things, that they're all, you know, happy and living their fullest and best lives. And I just think that's so important, you know, for us to share with the world, and that's what we're doing. So thank you guys. Are you a cat adventurer looking for a sense of community, extra motivation to get out and do more, and ways to strengthen that bond between you and your cat? or maybe something to challenge you to push the boundaries of cat expectations. Take your adventuring to the next level in our Trailblazers membership community, where I provide monthly challenges and activities designed to give you that extra push as well as fresh ideas of things to do with your cat. Trailblazers is made up of cat adventurers from all over the world, some just getting started and some with years of experience, all ready to give you support and encouragement, share in your victories and struggles, and help you and your cat reach your goals. You'll find yourself right at home amongst your tribe. Learn more at kittycatgo.com/trailblazers. We do have a question from a viewer who says, how do the cats interact with their siblings when they're playing? Do the other cats think they're getting more attention? So would anyone like to chime in on that?
Well, like I said before, I have quite a full house of cats. So I have 3 CH cats and Maze. And with all of my special needs cats, they don't really move around like normal cats. And when I brought Maze home, they instantly hated her. Like, it was just, nope, don't want another sibling. Nope, you can't make us. And they would swat at her, and she was teeny. Like, I got her at like 8 weeks old. She was tiny. And they were like 3. And now, oh my God, they're the best of friends. Like, Maze will walk up to one of them, like sit right on top of them if she wants, and they'll just like sleep together like that. They cuddle in bed. Like, the other 3, their mobility, like, I'm not comfortable taking them outside. But if they could, oh, they would be the best friends outside, living their best lives.
Oh. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Squid. So I have 2 cats. I have Squid, and then I have a 16-year-old orange tabby named Marlo, who is he's a big cat. I mean, he's like long. Hi, Squid. And hi. Do you want to come up? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, Squid.
He makes himself at home wherever he goes. So when I first brought Squid home, Marlo wasn't happy about it, but he's always been like okay with other cats. So like we were able to like have them in the same like areas. He would just like turn his face to the side and hiss and then like turn his face back. It was very creepy. But Marlo left for a week and a half about, which he's done before as an indoor outdoor cat, unfortunately. And I went out at like 2 or 3 every morning, and he finally came back after about a week, and he was mad. Like, he did it because of Squid, and he like was loving on me, like bashing his face into mine, which is what he does, and like hugging me. And all of a sudden he hears Squid in the darkness, and he just turns and he looks at them and he looks at me, and the look on his face was, I gave you a week to get rid of it. What is it still doing here? And I was like, guess who lost their outdoor privileges? You. I mean, he doesn't really go out anymore because he's old and he needs to stay inside. But my parents, who I'm kind of currently living with for reasons, they have 2 cats, TJ and Earl, and they're about 8, I think. Also orange tabby mixed things. And they all 4 of them love each other now. Marlo loves Squid too. They sleep together and they like take care of each other. Squid's just, the little annoying teenager who's 3. So it tells me when you were saying you brought your kitten home with 3-year-olds, I was like, oh man, Squid talks back to me a lot, huh? Did you find
none of them were impressed.
Yeah. But I think the most charming, cute thing is the cats are somehow aware that he's I don't know if they know that he can't see, but they know that there's something that's different about him. And so TJ, when he plays, he'll like cats will go and like hit each other, and TJ will like give him a tap to say like, this is where I am, now I'm gonna hit you. Or he'll let Squid touch him, and then he'll let Squid have a real hit. And it's just like, my heart like blew up. I don't know, it was like melting. It was really, really charming. So TJ's like kind of the best with him about that. Earl's not a fan, but Earl's like, sometimes you need a bath. Squid's like, play, and he's like, no, bath time.
Karen, how about Aquaman? How do all of your other animals treat him?
I would say, so I have a dog, Kiwi. She's a 55-pound shepherd husky, and she has loved Aquaman since like the day he showed up. And Aquaman loves her, and they're like best friends. So they get along pretty well. They wrestle all the time too, and it's like I think it can kind of make people nervous when they first see it because they're like that cat's paralyzed and that dog is huge and beating him up. But Aquaman plays tough. Like he plays hard. And then my other cat is Wednesday, and she's a little more like timid. So it took her a little while to like get used to Aquaman. She was always like friendly with him, but she wasn't like running over to go play with him.
Right.
But they get along really well now. They like cuddle together. But I definitely think Kiwi and Aquaman are like the best of friends. And then I foster kittens too. So Aquaman gets really excited whenever I bring new foster kittens home. He gets to bond with them.
Aw, that's cute.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. I haven't I have fostered 2 cats before, but they both ended up as foster fails. So a whole different story. But I take Sophie sometimes to PetSmart, where the local rescues have their adoption events on the weekends and stuff. And her foster mom is there a lot. And so I take her to visit her because Sophie's foster mom loved her, and so I'll take Sophie to visit and she'll lay down with the kittens and all the kittens like go and nurse on her. I mean, like they're obviously not getting anything, but they like all snuggle with her and then she's just like laid out like whatever, and then all the little kittens are on her belly.
Oh,
That's really cute.
I wish.
Yeah,
so
so
we foster too, but we don't have any fosters anymore. Like they've all been adopted out, thankfully. But Maze hates them. Like they come in and they have to isolate in a room until she's used to them, and then eventually she'll like go in there and like it's like I said, she's super tiny. She doesn't know how to defend herself. Like she's ridiculous. All she knows how to do is hiss, and then that's it. So is a hissy face for weeks, and then she's like, "Okay, I like you. We can play." And I'm like,
Squid's different with each other cat we've met. So one of my friends has a cat named Tom Paris who was like a kitten, but before Tom Paris, like Squid would go over to like his house, and it was like, this is mine. So he hates Tom Paris. Squid hates Tom Paris. Like he like pouts and he like does this thing where he grumbles and goes brrr, and then I'll just like hiss at Tom Paris. Where I am now with Rigo, Rigo, he's just like chill with Rigo. He's like, Rigo is a full-on mob boss. I will do what he says. I'll hiss at him maybe, but like they get along and they'll start to cuddle eventually. And then there's a Mr. Dilly Pickles at one of our like local plant shops. And I think Dilly Pickles wants to be friends and Squid doesn't. So Dilly Pickles will follow us around the shop until we leave.
Oh.
He's like, there's a cat, guys. There's a cat in the store.
Yeah. Well, my cats are similar with Sophie, like how you were saying, Kat, like your cats are with Squid. Like it seems like they look out for her, it's like they recognize that she's different and they play with her a little bit differently. And they also help bathe her because because her head, is like kind of wobbly, she can't really clean herself as well. And so they each like take it upon themselves to give her baths and stuff like that. And I just love that how I don't know, cats are just so amazing. They pick up on these things and they know when another one needs help or is different.
Yeah.
Heartwarming.
I think a lot of people don't realize how like community oriented cats can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. What else do I have on my list? What do your cats most enjoy about their outdoor adventures? Delcy, would you like to start?
I think It varies, honestly. Like, if we take Maze outside to, like, a green area, oh my god, this cat will chase bugs until she's, like, a different color. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, she will literally hunt them down and run after them, and she never catches them, the poor thing. But she tries. Um, but if we're like we went to a splash pad once, hated it, wanted nothing to do with it. She was like, "Nope, mom, don't like water." Um, like, it really depends, I think. Like, when we go for walks in her stroller, she loves to people watch. Like,
Mhm.
she will sit there and she just, like, stares at people as they go by, and she's like, "Oh, hey, you look like that, cool. Oh, that's
Mhm.
something else, all right." We went to the Pet Expo in Toronto when we were there recently, and she just sat on top of her carrier as I, like, dragged her around,
Uh-huh.
and she was the happiest cat, just staring at people and just, like, looking at the dogs and sniffing them and then periodically hissing at
Mhm.
them because, as I said, she hates other animals.
Yeah.
So, it really depends on where we go and what we do, but she's always just having the time of her life.
That's awesome. Happy wherever she goes.
Yeah.
What about Aquaman? What are his
Mhm.
favorite?
I think Aquaman for sure. He loves to smell things. He's like super, super curious. So anytime we can find like a good like spot that has like a lot of crunchy leaves, sticks, he loves sticks. He's like a little dog, loves to chew on them. He likes to kind of like stay in one spot. So he's definitely like the stereotypical cat where like you can't really walk with him very much because he just wants to stay in one spot.
So Aquaman's like, "I'm chilling here for my photo shoot, thank you."
Yep, that's him.
Squid is so hard to take a picture of because he will not stop moving, and he's all black, he has no eyes, and he's just like, "You snooze,
Follow
you
me.
lose. I'm gonna like, bye, bow." Like, we can't. But then, you all know, like, walking a cat is never like walking a dog. Like, they're just not gonna go down the trail. Like, I'm gonna like go really slow. And we're gonna like smell the flower, and then Squid will just do like a 180, and I'm like, we're not going that way. We're going this.
Yeah, you are.
Um, but I mean, I really do think he's pretty exceptional. So I'm not complaining, Squid. I promise. He's like he's trying to get the treat.
What are his favorite kinds of adventures? What does he like most?
So I think we have like our three like so he loves like hiking, and he likes to just go on the trail. He really likes to free roam, but it's I get a little bored. But so we'll like try and combine those kind of things. But he likes hiking in places with a lot of birds. He's obsessed with birds. The smaller the better. Like Maze, he loves bugs. So much so, in fact, that his nickname is Bug. Um, like, come on, little bug. He can catch them and then he'll eat them, and I think that's kind of gross. Um, so yeah, hiking, especially if there's trees, and we're in the Pacific Northwest, so there's a tree everywhere you look, and he will stop like at every tree, and he'll be like, "I'm gonna climb this one," and he's on like a 6 foot long leash when we go hiking, and so I don't let him climb the tree because I'm like, "How are you gonna get down?" So trees. There's a fabric store that he is treated like a prince at, so he loves it there. The women who own or run the shop just like let him do what he wants. It's very strange, and he just follows people around the store and flops over and gets pets, and he's just like, and he'll yell at me when we leave. Like, I pick him up, or like, I kind of like say, "Hey, can we pick you up and can we go?" And he'll go, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." And then there's a few breweries in town that he likes because he knows all the people who work there, and he gets to be outside and like just bird watch. He gets to bird watch at the breweries. So
Oh, yes.
mhm,
That's an excellent activity.
mhm.
Um, would you guys say that taking your cats out for adventures has helped them in any way, like with their abilities at all? Have you noticed that or experienced that?
I think in like like developing and like growing up as a cat, I think being able to be out in the world and like hear things and smell things, and like I guess maybe not being sighted, like not being as overwhelmed maybe as another cat might be. That's what people have asked me about. I'm like, I don't know. He might have been a sighted cat and been totally fine doing what we're doing now. I
Mhm.
don't know. But I think it probably helped his like development and like helped his like puzzle skills and, logic skills, figuring things out. He's a pretty savvy, he's very independent. So I think, yeah, being able to like have access to that has really helped him like kind of grow. And I think probably made him a more personable cat too, right? Like I think a lot of people don't. Oh my God, there's a cat.
Well, Chelsea or Karen, have you guys noticed if adventuring has helped your cat's abilities at all?
Honestly, I don't think so. Like for her, it just was so natural. So I don't think that she would be any different. If anything, it's helped me a lot.
Mhm.
Just in the fact that she's so easy to like, okay, let's put your leash on. And she knows the sound of the bell of the leash and she will sit in front of the door and she will wait. And once she's harnessed in, then she is ready to go. So it makes it easier for me, but I don't think it's changed her at all. Just because, well, we started adventuring with her when she was like 6 or 7 months old. So I don't think that there would be any difference.
Yeah. How about Aquaman?
I think for Aquaman, it definitely made him more confident. He was kind of, I don't want to say a scaredy cat, but it's a big world and he was very small. So I think it made him more confident. And, he leans, I think, a lot on Kiwi, my dog. Whenever he is feeling nervous, I notice he really goes towards her. So I think it's helped build his confidence. I think the more he goes out and does things too, he's definitely gotten stronger. He's incredibly buff. Like this cat tree behind me, he can scale this thing. Like he
Wow.
just his front paws, he can scale that thing, no problem.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think it's just helped build his confidence, make him like a stronger cat. But I think he's having fun.
Yeah, I think
Remember?
I think for Sophie, it's really similar, like with what you were saying with Aquaman. I think her confidence was built by going out and, and also her social. I mean, she was always a very social cat anyway, but being out and around people helped her with that. And then for CH cats, there's not obviously a cure or anything, but the more you keep them active, they build that strength in their legs, and it helps them. So I think walking and going on hikes and stuff helped build Sophie's strength, and so that made her stability and everything improved. At least it seems that way. But I'm sure you guys have probably experienced this too, like wanting to be a helicopter mom, for your cat, because they, you see them and they, Sophie will stumble. And when we first adopted her, I just wanted to like do everything for her. And if she fell, I wanted to pick her up and, comfort her, even though she didn't care. She was like, oh, whatever. But I realized if I am like that, if I do everything for her and help her with everything, then that's doing more harm than good, really, because she's not figuring out things for herself. And so I think that adventuring has helped a lot in that ways. And I'm letting her be her own cat and not like micromanaging everything.
I'm actually kind of the opposite. I'm just like, you can do it, buddy. Like, but I think we're really in tune. Like he's a Virgo, so he doesn't like to ask for help. He wants to do it by himself. So like, I kind of have to like watch, but you can tell he'll like start pacing if he can't get off of something. I'm like, it's a foot off the ground. We can do this. We got this. But we've kind of worked around ways where like, some days he's just not going to do it. Like it's too scary. I'll have to pick him up, and he might be a little annoyed, but I like kind of make sure I have certain parts of him where I touch him first and then kind of grab to let him know what's happening. So he's not just going to like free fall into the void.
Yeah.
But other times I can just kind of put my hand like kind of on the back of his butt, like above his like tail, and then a little like kind of like this. And just give him like a tiny little push and see how much resistance he has. And that can be helpful. When he climbs trees, this is, I think, like when I knew my cat loved me. Sometimes he won't get enough momentum, or he'll stop climbing the tree and he still wants to go up, but he can't. So he'll just like curse the heavens. He'll just go, meow. Like he's like yelling, and he's kind of mad at me, and he's kind of mad at the tree maybe, and maybe like some like, he's just talking, and it's really funny. So he's just stuck on the tree, and I'll kind of put my arms around him, and I won't even touch him, and he'll just release and fall into me, and I'm just like, oh. And then he'll like yell again because he's going to climb the tree again. So then it's a whole cyclical cycle. But yeah, I think going out can really help cats be good with humans too, because a lot of people don't socialize them young, or they don't do it enough because we aren't used to doing it like we would with dogs, I think, or like dogs is just so much easier or like expected to do it with. So I think that's something that I think Squid already liked humans, but I think if he hadn't wanted to go out and I hadn't done it, like he might have been like weird around humans or skittish, like he might not have been as friendly. So yeah, I think that's something that's good about checking in with your cats.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just curious, is like, I know Maze would live for a daily walk, but unfortunately I just don't have the time every single day of my life. And we've done a couple of strange things where like she does really well in the car, and we've taken a couple of plane rides, and she's done really well on the plane. So I'm just curious to know if you guys have had the same experiences.
We had a bad plane experience. Well, our second plane ride was not great. Squid doesn't like boxes or containers or anything that could be like that. So he doesn't like cat carriers, which is mostly fine since he rides on my shoulders and that's his safe spot. So like, if he's going to the vet, I'll call them and I always check and say like, is it okay if he's not in a carrier? Because I don't let him down on the floor. Like that could be bad if there's dogs around. But yeah. So his first plane ride, he did okay. Geez, Rigo, there's nothing over here. He's 15. I don't know how he's doing that. So our second plane ride, I was moving back to the Pacific Northwest from Michigan right before the pandemic blew up and there was like no one, it was all weird. Remember that weird time? So I apparently found out that you can travel with more than one cat if two of them will fit into a carrier, and they did. And Marlo's 16 and Squid is, I guess it was 2 years ago, but someone peed on someone. I don't know who. I think it was Squid. And if you've taken your cat through TSA before, you know that you have to take them out.
Yes.
You go through the different thing. And I was like, this is going to be beautiful, amazing. Marlo doesn't want to get out of the carrier, but he just like latches onto me. It's fine. And Squid will just go on my shoulders. Because if you try to pick up this cat, he immediately does that, which I have to warn people about. Also don't pick up my cat, but as soon as I open the cage, Squid is on my neck. Marla and the TSA agents are like, "Oh my gosh, it looks amazing!" And there's just my neck is wet. I can smell it.
Oh no!
Like their face just like it was bad. But fortunately, no one was in the airport. No one is in line for TSA. So I went to the family bathroom for like an hour. I called my mom. I fortunately had like a huge Ziploc bag. Travel with those with cats. And I just took off my shirt, put on a new one. Like I washed myself, put on a new one, put all the pee things into the Ziploc bag and like washed my cats, which was fun. So Squid travels really well now. But I got him like kitty CBD treats and I think they worked really well. The car at first was a giant box and he didn't really like it, but he was fine with it. And now he's like, oh, okay, if we go in the car, we're going to do something. Or he just takes a nap. Or when it's nice out, like in the summer and the spring and the fall, like he insists that the window is down so he can stick his little head out like a dog.
That's cute. Sophie is not the best traveler, so I can't say that my experience is probably like yours, Delcy, or Macy is so like happy to go with the flow. She doesn't really like the car. She's gotten better. And actually, if I put her in a carrier in the car with Kylo, one of my other cats, then she's comfortable and safe because she's got like a friend. But I've never flown with her because she meows and I love Sophie. She is I love her so much, but her meow is one of the most annoying sounds I've ever heard in the world. there's like something about, there's like a timbre to it or something that just is like really grating, and so I know if I took her on a plane, she would cry like that the whole time and be like that screaming baby, you know, that no one wants. And so I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fly with Sophie ever. I've flown with one of my other adventurers, Kylo, and he was fine, but Sophie is not gonna be a flyer.
Yeah, I mean, it's really scary if you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
ear pressure or the air pressure, like, and they have like really sensitive ears. So
Yeah. Karen, have you like traveled or done anything like that with Aquaman before?
Yeah, so Aquaman, he's a year and he's been on 3 road trips. So he is awesome in the car, and he's really used to it, because when I fostered him, I would take him to work with me every day. So he got really used to the car, and he just goes to sleep in there. He's really quiet. I've never taken him on a plane, and I don't have plans to. I don't know. I think it just seems like a lot of hassle, and if I can drive there, I'll just drive there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
fair enough.
Yeah, I found out it was cheaper sometimes if I was like traveling home for like a winter break or something to like pay for my cat to fly with me than it was to like board him. But now that he's old, he's not traveling anymore. And then with Squid, I like the road trip was great because he would hang out in the car, was really well behaved, and then like there'd be like lizards when you like stopped in like the American like Southwest. And he was like, those are the best. But yeah, I wanted to get him like certified as an ESA for my ADD because he does all the things that a cat would do. But they took away all the flight stuff. Like you can't domestic travel on an airline with ESAs. I mean, you can, but you still have to pay for it. They still have to be in the carrier. And part of it was like he stresses out so much in the carrier. Like he just, you know, and so I really don't want to like do that unless I have to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting that you say that too, because like Maze used to hate the car, and we would put her in there and it was instant like meow city, like send help. This cat sounds like she's going through it. But now she's like mellowed out. She like sits in the back seat like she owns it. She has this one spot and she's like, nope, I'm good here, and we can drive with her and she's fine. And we've done the trip from Fredericton to Toronto a couple of times now, and I know that we're not all Canadian in here, but it is a 14-hour drive. Yeah, with no stops. So it normally ends up being about 15, 16 hours in the car. And she does really well. And surprisingly, she did better in the plane, but when she was outside of the carrier. So we got really lucky on a couple of flights now where I've been with her, and I looked at the flight attendant and I was like, listen, I know that the policy is that they have to stay in the carrier at all times, but like she's really cute and I promise she's really good. So like, would it be okay if I took her out and like she stays on her leash? She's not going to go anywhere. I promise she's not going to get further than like the leash lets her. And they were like, okay, yeah, let's try this out. And the flight
Not my
attendant
experience.
both times was like, yup, look at her. Oh my God, she just sits in your lap. Wow, she's so good. And she did really well the entire plane ride. She only had to be in the carrier for takeoff and landing. And throughout the entire airport, she was riding on top of the carrier because we got one with wheels. So I just push her along and she's just sitting on top of it and like investigating and people watching as she does and not bothered by anybody.
Yeah.
So, but I have had the same bad experience on a different flight where the flight attendant was like, no, she is not to come out of her carrier. I don't care what you say. Like she can meow all day long. And I was like,
I
how would
get
you like to be in a box?
Yeah, right? Part of me is like, I get it, but like, I've never asked. Maybe I should just try because like Squid is really. Like, I say he trained himself, but he's a highly trained cat. You know, but he would be. I think he would stay in my lap the whole time because he'd be stressed about the plane. If he decided he wasn't stressed or he no longer was stressed, I think it would be. He might not be as good as Maze, but I had the carrier on the seat because it wasn't going to be a full flight. So I was trying to be like, please don't sit with me. I always get sat with, but I was going to move it under, you know? And she's like, the cat carrier can't be on a seat at all ever. And I was like, sorry. I was like, I'll move it in a second. And she got mad at me. And I was like,
what is your problem?
Yeah. Or like, I always have it open just enough so I can stick my fingers in so I can touch them and make sure that they're like, okay, you know, because his ears get really hot and he's, you know, and she's like, you can't have that open. And I was like, okay. So I closed it and she left and opened it. You know, like, it's like, I don't like, it was just a little weird. I was like, I already paid for this cat. He doesn't even have his own seat. If I had to pay $90 for my cat to fly, he should have his own seat.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I think it just depends on, you know, who the flight attendant is that day. Because I've had both experiences too, where I flew with my cat Kylo, and one time the way there, it was really empty flight. I put his carrier on the seat beside me because there was no one there. And the flight attendants were coming over like, oh, so cute. And they wanted to pet him. And, you know, it was great. And then on the next flight on the way home, same thing. Like it was a pretty empty flight. But I pulled his carrier out after we were like already at altitude or whatever. I pulled his carrier out from underneath the seat and put it beside me. And they're like, no, that's under the seat. I'm like, okay, whatever. So
I think it's just hard as a customer. You're like, well, I just like, it's not the same, like from airline to airline or even from like within the airline. And so that can be hard, but like probably working in customer service as like one of the like attendants, like it's probably like, you know, one of those things where like, I've had like some really rough customers today and they're just like trying to like nip it in the bud. So I'm like, it's fine. But
yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys all for spending your evening with me and sharing about your experiences. I think it's important for those of us who have special needs cats to show the world that they can live awesome and happy lives too. So thank you for sharing about your kitties. For those listening, be sure to give Aquaman, Maze, and Squid a follow on Instagram. You can find them at adventures.of.aquaman, at Maze the Manx, and that's MAZE, and at squid.the.eyeless. Are you enjoying the Kitty Cat Go Adventure podcast? Let me know by leaving a review. This will help others to find it and hopefully be inspired to get out there, try new things, and go new places with their cat. What questions do you have about adventuring with cats? Or maybe you'd just like to chat with me about what you learned in this episode. Find me on Instagram at kittycatgoadventures. You can also screenshot this episode and tag me in your stories so I can see who is listening. I'd love to continue the conversation with you, so find me on Instagram or join our Facebook group, Kitty Cat Go Adventure Team, so you can connect with a whole community of fellow cat adventurers. And as always, you can find the show notes, including all links and resources discussed in this episode at kittycatgo.com/podcast. Until next time, happy adventuring.